31% of oil that's traded on the international market goes through the Strait of Hormuz. And it would be a very simple matter for the Iranians to shut that down. They could mine it. They could just sink a large tanker in the middle of it. The channel that's used is really quite narrow. And that would be it. 30% of internationally traded oil would be off the market. And that would have huge consequences. Oil prices would soar, and there would be quite a lot of anger. A lot of people don't notice anything in the U.S. except for the price of gasoline. And they, the response to that would not be favorable. But that's just one thing. There are all the military bases that are in very close range of Iranian missiles. There are U.S. naval vessels that are clearly vulnerable. And again, we've spoken at length about what the Houthis did. But everything that you can say about the Houthis, they've actually had to force the U.S. Navy to retreat. They caused the USS Harry Truman, the aircraft carrier, to take evasive action, and it had to do it so suddenly that they lost an F-18 in the process. They were able to defend their airspace, to the point where the U.S. just was unable to collect the intelligence as to where Houthi missiles might be hiding, or because when they would send a drone into that airspace, it would get shot down. And then their own planes, their F-35, which is supposed to be the most advanced aircraft, certainly within the U.S. Arsenal, was unable to fly over that airspace, for any length of time. There was at least one instance where it had to take evasive measures. So again, you just saw there the Houthis were able to defend themselves and actually to you could say defeat the U.S. military operation there, and everything that you just take the Houthis and you multiply it by 1,000, 10,000, and there you have Iran. Everything that made the military operation in the Red Sea so difficult is going to be so much more difficult. All those things are present in Iran and in much greater quantity and quality. They're up against, there's so much that Iran can do. And I haven't even mentioned Israel. Again, Israel is a small country with, is dependent on just a couple of ports. And, there's really one major international airport. The Iranians, if they're really serious about it, could just take out a good part of Israeli infrastructure in short order. And then Iran, on the other hand, is a large country with good air defenses. I'm sure there are people who are making that same case within the U.S. government. That's the reason it hasn't happened. There's so many times we've come close. There's been a big push to do it, but it never does because, many people, the cooler heads, have pointed this out. Now, the thing is, even in the past, we didn't do it when we were relatively much stronger vis-a-vis Iran than we are now. But over the last, 10 years, 20 years, everything has shifted in the favor of Iran. The military balance of power, the economic balance of powers, everything's shifting in their favor. They have had plenty of time to keep on working on their air defenses and strengthening their underground bunkers, and they're much more than bunkers. They've actually released some footage. You can see there are these underground cities, and then they have the support again now of Russia and China, which they didn't have before. So even when they were isolated, we said, maybe we shouldn't do this. But now they're so much stronger. It would just be pure madness. It would have been really foolish to attempt it now, but it would just be utter insanity, I think, to launch a real war against Iran at this point.
آنچه در مورد ما میگویند